Hello, teachers, and welcome to episode 3 of Unlocked in 5. So, today I'm really focusing on a unique strategy that we can use in our classroom to really get our students engaging in some deeper discussion, developing the critical thinking strategies, and as teachers, working on our ability to engage our students in deeper and impactful questions. So, pose, pause, pounce, bounce is a strategy that we're going to talk to, and it really helps to dive into the world of effective class discussion and really helps us uncover that magic behind the strategy and what the real life applications are for it and transform our classrooms with dialogue. So every teacher seeks that secret, engaging, meaningful, and dynamic class discussion. And when we're working with the strategy of pose, pause, pounce, bounds, our students are given the opportunity to really look at thought provoking questions and have really deep dialogue with that. So, for example, we can look at the pose. So step one is thinking about what question can we pose to kind of create that thought-provoking question in our classrooms. For example, teacher might say, can anyone explain the significance of a specific turning point in history? And notice the question is open-ended in nature and it invites critical thinking. So that's step one, is coming up with what question as a teacher am I going to pose to create that thought-provoking, engaging question. Next, the pause is going to be after posing comes the pause, which students want to take time to think, which is think time is very important, digest at this point, formulate their answers. And this really respects the processing and speed that is going to be diverse in our classrooms when coming up with a response. You might even give some time depending on your classroom. You might do a think, pair, share first so everyone is prepared. You might have students have an opportunity to reread a passage or to gather further information if that's something that they are interested in or if that's something that's going to support their learning. So those are other things that we can look at. So you want to make sure that you are able to provide students with ample amount of think time. All right, then step number 3 is our pounce. So this is when our pounce, not too aggressively, of course, this is where a student is chosen to answer. So again, this is a routine that we want to establish early in our classroom. It's something that we want to create a classroom culture around where students feel comfortable responding and not waiting for those hands up type of approach. So this is where, and again, feel free to prime the student. Let them know as during think time. You might want to walk up to them and say, hey, I'm going to pounce on you for this today. Are you prepared for that? So again, it's a really great strategy to get everyone in your class engaged in discussion with those scaffolds to support their needs and their level of ability. So teacher goes, Alex, could you share your thoughts? And Alex discusses that same historical event. So the turning point showcases the protagonist's internal conflict, which mirrors the larger societal issues, things like that, which is great. Again, the student is able to share their thinking. There's no wrong answers here as well. So that's another strategy or another way you can explain to your students that there's no wrong answers when it comes to this strategy. We're just all kind of putting our thoughts out there into the world. And then finally, we have the bounce, which is that final stage. So our student has now responded and bounced. So now we're going to have another student build on Alex's point. So it encourages students to build on or respectfully challenge their peers' ideas as well. So great for building that oral communication in the classroom as well. So we bounce to a next student and that student responds, adding to Alex's point. I also think it's significant because, and again, we can provide them with sentence stems, sentence frames. We can practice these in small group. We can provide think time in between. So that bounce offers that dynamic back and forth dialogue, making those discussions much richer. So it's more of a hot potato format where we're passing along and having multiple people in the discussion versus just a ping pong style where it's teacher, student, teacher, student, teacher, student. We're really engaging that student to student response and not always kind of coming back to the teachers. So we want to make sure that we are providing opportunities within our classrooms for lots of students to respond. And again, depending on where you are in your classroom, you want to make sure there's no limits on how it can be bounced and elsewhere and all the different natural points where the conversations might go. So again, we want to insist on a hands-down approach. We want to make sure that we give students an ample amount of think time. So students will take between 1 and 10 seconds to process the question, and that's just depending on coming up with the answers. So, but teachers will wait on average 0.7 to 1.4 seconds. So it's really important that we give ourselves perhaps a timer. We can walk around the room deciding how much time that takes, but really making sure that we are giving our students that think time to ensure that they're successful with it. Some ideas here. These are just some questions that you can use in your classroom in September. Maybe if you're looking at one of your post questions can be, can you describe where we would find Saskatoon on a map of Canada? Or can you describe a specific body of water? And what is one of the geographical features of development in Iqaluit? So we have all of these options that our teachers can engage with and you can use in your classroom. So if you're looking for a fun and engaging way to get your students using dialogue and questioning and really having some powerful discussions in class, this protocol pose, pause, pounce, bounce is a great one for that. I hope you enjoy using it. If you are using it in your classroom, please let me know how it's working. Let me know some of the questions or even some of the challenges. If you're interested in seeing this one in action and you'd like me to come out and support you and modeling with you or co-teaching it with you, I would be happy to do that, or setting up some norms and expectations in your classroom for this strategy. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unlocked in 5.